want to welcome everybody. And if you guys don't mind, maybe mute out. Randy just did. And I'm going to introduce Russ to you guys. Russ Devan is a successful entrepreneur, coach, trainer, consultant, and accomplished sales leader. In 1982, Russ started his own sales training and marketing company. For the next 8 years, he assisted in the development of sales organizations for corporations in the petroleum, home improvement, telecommunications, and nutritional supplements industry. He is a published author on the subject of networking, personal development, and sales training. Russ was featured in the premiere edition of Success Magazine's Work at Home in 1995 as one of the top 24 home based business entrepreneurs in America. Russ is also a published author, and he was featured 6 times in the direct and multi level marketing sales industry publication Upline. He was honored to be selected as one of the original 5 Upline masters and influenced hundreds of thousands of independent distributors while on the Masters touring circuit from 1991 to 2000 and in the years following. Russ has shared the stage and program with such notable personalities as Tom Hopkins, Bob Proctor, Jim Britt, Brian Byro, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, and Dr. Ben Carson. In 1996, Russ built a sales organization with a health supplement company that exceeded 25,000 distributors and generated 1.9 million per month in sales in just 9 months, and is known as one of the architects of the first matching bonus in the network marketing compensation plan, which he dubbed multi-match. Russ is proud to have worked with and personally sponsored the single most successful TV infomercial personality in history, Tony Little, America's personal trainer, who today still remains a close friend of Russ's. Russ is most often recognized for his dedication to professionalism, integrity, and commitment to the service of others. A notable speaker, Russ currently conducts Success by Design webinars, seminars, individual coaching, and consulting for companies and sales teams throughout North and Central America, the United Kingdom, Europe, Asia, and South Pacific. With that, I want to welcome Russ. I've met Russ, probably actually a couple months ago now. And so far, Russ has taught me a lot. His inspiration, it really is. And his whole thing is success by design, untraining, because we really got to be untrained from some of the habits that we have learned. So, Russ, I want to turn it over to you, bud.
Okay, well, thanks, Paul. Hi, everybody. Randy and Dan. I'm glad that you're here. That stiff bio, is somewhat dated, and I'm proud of everything in there. I just want you to know I didn't write it. Um, so the most important thing I think that you know about me is I'm passionate about contribution to people. And after 45 years of pretty much being in the people business in one way or another, although I don't have a degree as, or I'm not formally known as a human behaviorist, I think that title would be appropriate. So many years ago, this is just to give you a little bit of background on where untraining, which is a word I coined for the training that I do. Many years ago, I came from a professional sales background with a Fortune 500 company. I went through, Xerox and IBM professional selling skills, and actually taught those for a while. I had my first foray and started a love-hate relationship with the distribution methodology known as network marketing, probably, when 1980, however long ago that was. It takes pressing 45 years, I think. But after seeing how creative that model was, and actually it was fun, and I did well with it at first. I also crashed and burned a lot, but I realized that teaching people how to sell was pretty much a frustrating and futile endeavor, and that network marketing pretty much didn't work for people. And I really wanted to know why, because it wasn't the system of distribution itself that actually did work quite well. And even today is a $200 billion business worldwide. But there's something like, I don't know how many tens of millions of people doing it. 100 million people, 200 million people are doing it, and really only about 1% of them succeed. So long ago, in the early 90s, I took it on to like investigate and research that why. Not just couldn't do much through reading, and computers really weren't the best there, but through interviewing people that I'd known and really looking at the model itself and really studying that. I looked at it from what worked about it, what didn't work about it, and what was missing. And what I noticed is the primary mode of training, and this is still the paradigm today, I believe, the paradigm of training isn't what I feel it should be. It's motivation, trying to get people excited so they go out under the ether and they spout and repeat what they've been taught. All training seminars, no matter what they are, people are actually encouraged and told to take copious notes. We were all taught that in school, but you know what? I don't know about you, but I've taken copious notes before, and we're told that if we take notes and we write things down, we'll remember them. But I never look at the notes again. I don't know if that's common, but I suspect that's the case most of the time. So people go to seminars to be motivated, but motivation, and again, everything you're going to hear from me is my opinion. Motivation's like ether. It wears off. So I think that most people that go for motivation, they might get motivated for the moment, but the moment they get away from the motivator, whatever the motivation was, it dissipates. I found it difficult to sustain motivation unless it's self-sourced. So I thought there was a new model for training needed, number one, that wasn't about motivation, it was about productivity. In my own path of personal development, I came across this, I'll use this word very loosely, but let's call it a technology for training that wasn't about motivation. It was about productivity. My first exposure from that came in a course called Leadership, Productivity, and Service, which was owned and put on, it was a year-long course by the World Institute for Life Planning. And it was an ontological experience. And what I mean by that is ontology is the study of being. Ontological courses like LifeSpring and Landmark Forum and EST, which is one of the oldest ones, were all new ways of getting to people that kind of separated and diversified. And now it's like a thing. Even L. Ron Hubbard, when he created Scientology, that was his version of an ontological exercise. However, my experience of it was I learned some things that I was able to take and directly apply to this mission I was on about researching and having and creating a model where network marketing and network marketing training would work. And what I wound up with was Success by Design, my company, which isn't so much about network marketing or multi-level marketing, it's about life. But it's also not a purely ontological foray in finding out, what your fundamental decision was when your father did something to you when you were 3. It's not that at all. So it might be useful at this time to explain something that's profound that I always start my own trainings with. And it's called the 3 domains of knowledge. And this is often used in other things. So I didn't create this distinction, but it's very useful. So the three domains of knowledge are what we know, and we know whatever we know. What we know is the sum of our knowledge and experience. Okay. So whatever we know, we know. Then there's the domain of what we don't know. Now, people think, okay, well, I don't know about quantum physics. I know it exists, though. I know who Stephen Hawking's is or was. And so if I want to learn more about quantum physics and black holes and all those different things, I can study it. And then it'll move to the domain of what I know. But there's a third domain. And this third domain makes people sound really smart when they say it. So I hear news reporters saying it and cocktail party people, but they have no idea what it actually means. And this is the domain of what we don't know, we don't know. People say, oh, that's what you didn't know, you didn't know. No, it's not. Because if you don't know something, but you don't know it, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in your world. It doesn't exist for you. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist in the universe. It just doesn't exist. So the domain of what we don't know, and one of my great coaches used to say this, it's like water to the fish. What we don't know is a paradigm. And all a paradigm is, and I'm sick of that word, but all a paradigm is a structure for belief. So many things are just accepted as true, and they aren't true. It's just the way everybody thinks. So presidents are male. And believe me, I don't want to get into that conversation, but that's pretty much what people think. Yeah, presidents always have been male up to this point. So presidents are male, but that's not so. It just happens to have been so up to this point. But that's the paradigm. So what I did is I started looking at other paradigms that would unconceal things that were being taught that didn't work, that weren't true. Like paradigms are generally not true or false. They're just a way of thinking. Now, the way you're thinking might be true or false, but that doesn't mean that anything except that's the paradigm. The more people that think it, the bigger the paradigm. And the thing about paradigms is we don't see them. We don't know they're there. So let me give you some examples, and then I'll tell you now quickly about the kind of business things I went after. Okay, so here, one of the biggest stops for people in any kind of business, but particularly in the realm of network marketing, is prospecting. Now, this was also an issue for years with direct sales, insurance, which is real estate, anything that could be considered consumer direct, where a person is involved in presenting a case for a product or service, like insurance. The first place they tell people to go when they learn whatever it is they're selling is their warm market. So the paradigm of prospecting for years has been the warm and the cold market. And everybody accepts that. Every time somebody gets in front of a meeting room or somebody demonstrates a network marketing opportunity or even trains an insurance person, they get into the conversation about a warm and a cold market. So I looked at that for a second because I'm a professional salesperson, right? And I knew all about that. And I'd experienced network marketing. So I was told to make a names list of people I know. Why? Because the warm market is people you know, and that means they're more likely to trust you and buy from you. Is that so? No. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. But the general thought is, oh, that's your warm market. Go to your warm market. Talk to people that you know because they're more. Oh, that makes sense. People I know, yeah, like my brother and my brother-in-law. I don't think so. My mother, she's somebody I know. She'd buy anything from me because it's me. But no. So I thought, okay, now I'm starting to see something. Maybe the warm market. Well, what about the cold market? Well, how do people feel about the cold market? Even the name of it indicates that you don't want to go there. It's the cold market. I mean, who would choose warm over cold? I mean, 9 days. You say you want to be warm or you want to be cold? Which do you want to be? Warm. Thanks. Not hot, but warm. Okay, so the cold market. What's the cold market? Oh, you mean strangers? What do I say to a stranger? You mean door to door selling? Oh my God, that's it. So look, this isn't a case for the warm or the cold market. I had this thought. What if, whether you know somebody or don't know them, isn't what makes them a prospect at all. It doesn't matter whether you know them or don't know them. That's not pertinent. What's germane is a conversation. And I believe, and everything you're hearing is my opinion and my particular point of view. Whether you know somebody or not isn't what makes them a prospect. What makes them a prospect is a conversation. And I believe as a culture, if we just refer to the culture, as a culture, we have forgotten how to have honest conversations. You hear this all the time about authenticity. Well, you know what? There's nothing authentic about being given a script and reading it or memorizing it. All right. So there's an immediate disconnect there. I believe technology, as wonderful as it is, I mean, I have people that are Facebook friends of mine, but they're not friends. I might have gone to nursery school with them, but I haven't talked to them in 69 years. All right. So they're not friends. They're just a contact. They're somebody that I have some context for knowing, but nothing more than that. And they're listed as friends on my Facebook page. Are they my warm market? No, of course not, because I don't know them. So what makes them possibly my warm market is a conversation. But then comes the rub. Well, what do you say to somebody to have a conversation? Do you believe people actually ask that? Because they do. What do I say? What do I say to them? And what they're not saying is, what do I say to them to get them to buy this product? What do I say to them to get them interested in what I'm doing? So this I unconcealed from television advertising years ago, and how it shifted from when I was young to brand name. You go to a store, you're going to buy Coke or Pepsi. Okay, brand name to value selling. And that evolved into infomercial selling, and actually not selling at all, but just putting out a message so powerfully that somebody has a knee-jerk reaction to what they're hearing, and there's no rejection or objection. There's nothing to overcome, because all people are hearing is value and choice. And I thought, that's pretty smart. If selling is effective as a methodology, why are there objections? So this started a whole untraining. And all untraining is, it's not the right way, the new way, the best way, it's just a different way of thinking or seeing possibility and giving choice. So one piece was creating a new paradigm for prospecting and how it's done that was not based on the warm or cold market thinking. It was based on listening instead of what to say and speaking. When you see somebody you know in a store, do you get in a cold sweat about what to say to them? No, you don't ever think about it. You just start a conversation with them. Okay. But if you have something to sell them, or they might be a candidate for your network marketing business, it gets all weird, because we kind of wonder what we say to get over to this, and how the kids, oh, by the way. And this is why people don't like it. And they think it's sales, which is another paradigm. What's selling is what happens on television or the internet now. When you go on TikTok and you see something ad, you say, I want that. I'm going to try that. And some goofy person's presenting it, that they might not have even used it or even be telling the truth about it. But something in that language connects with a concern that you have. And that's another point. I believe what guides all human beings' actions are two things that we all have. One is concerns, and one is commitments. So I created a new model for how selling can be done, and I called it something else. And it's not sharing. Oh my God. You can't just take a new label for something and put it on the same thing and make the same thing different. Okay. It has to be different, and it is different. I call it promoting, but the distinction I make between selling and promoting is simply this: selling is a proven methodology. It involves unconcealing needs, features, advantages, and benefits, closing, and then overcoming objections. So my question was, if selling is effective, why are there objections when you close? Why is there resistance? And my postulate is this: selling's a force, selling's a position, and you need this. You don't know you need it, but I'm going to show you need it. Well, if it's a position, by natural law, that every action needs an equal and opposite reaction. What is the reaction to a force? What is the reaction to resistance or a position? It's resistance. So if you remove the position, resistance disappears because position must have an opposition. Force must have resistance in order to exist. Something isn't a force unless it's resisted. So if you remove resistance, if you remove force, resistance disappears. So this thing called promoting is different from selling. It has the same end result. The end result is somebody buys. But the difference is the in promoting, it's the communication of value while providing a choice. And one of those choices can be no. But when no is an honest choice and people can do it without fearing you're going to try to overcome it, which only keeps it in place, generally they choose the value. And that's all you want. Hear value, create choice, let the decision not be made by you. That's what television does. That's what infomercials do. That's what the internet does when they're moving a product. They know they have no control over the choice that somebody makes. So all they can do is hit on a concern or hit on a commitment with value and then give people the choice on what they want to do. And every time it works. Because when people get the choice, they do what you're encouraging them to do with the product. The second piece, so we've talked about prospecting, we've talked about selling, which I'm not a salesperson. I don't like to sell. Don't blame you. I don't like to sell either, and I don't do it anymore. So what's the third thing that's the critical way to make money if you're in, say, a network marketing structure, and that's recruiting. Even the sound of recruiting indicates what it is, the experience it is for most people. It looks like dragging, kicking, and screaming, or convincing, or it's not a pleasant experience trying to get somebody to do something. However, there's something that's missed. Every time you've ever enrolled in something, it's whose idea has it been? Yours. I mean, when we volunteer for something, nobody's making us volunteer. Well, I guess sometimes, but most of the time when you enroll in something, whose idea is it? Have you noticed the shift that's happened? And most of you guys, you might not be old enough to appreciate this. When I went to college, there was Vietnam. And on college campuses, there were Army and armed service recruiting stations to get somebody in so they could go, or they were drafted. All right. And because the draft was going on, they really had to sell being in the military hard. Do they do that anymore? No. They have advertisements that show how people will think of you if you are part of the military, how people will hold you if you, and the benefit that you get from giving your service for X amount of time. They have the guy, coming up out of the mud puddle and, being a Marine and, then becoming a brain surgeon or whatever. But my point is, enrolling is different from recruiting, because recruiting is getting somebody to do something, and enrolling is creating a vision, a value, a direction, a possibility in such a creative way. It's a compelling choice for people. That's different. And the third area that becomes part of the untraining, and also was an exercise that I learned in leadership development and service. It's very difficult to coach someone for productivity. If you're coaching them and motivating them, that's definitely a formula for disaster, because when you're not there, they're not motivated. But it's difficult to have them be productive if they're not up to something. So I created something called a project. And every person I work with and coach has something they're up to accomplish, a measurable goal in the next year. And people don't work for goals either. That's another paradigm. I don't think Americans that are track stars that compete in the Olympics are really working for the gold medal. I know that's the goal of every Olympian, to win the gold medal, but that's not what they're working for. They get the gold medal. If they get the gold medal, what do they do with it? It goes in a trophy case or around their wife's neck or around their husband's neck, whatever. The recognition of standing before your country and being honored, yeah, that's something to work for. But what they're really working for is a $30 million Nike contract. In some countries, you're honored and taken care of for the rest of your life when you bring your country that kind of honor, like a gold medal. So I've already said probably too much than Paul wanted me to. But Here's the thing. I'm creating a new paradigm for how people are trained, the way that they think about things like prospecting, sales, recruiting, planning, goal setting, all those things. And my objective is to shift the world, with a new possibility for productivity, one that is consumer friendly, one that doesn't involve you learning and memorizing a whole bunch of stuff. It actually involves you being yourself, being your authentic self, and being more interested in listening for people's concerns and commitments and who they actually are and serving them than you are getting something from them. That's my speech, Paul. And Randy, you stuck it out.
Awesome.
I lost our other guy, Dan. But so there we are.
That's great, Russ. Actually, Dan told me he had to go at the bottom of the hour, so I told him that we appreciate him coming on, and that was awesome, Russ. It just it makes so much sense, and we're in the world of transformation right now, and
Yeah.
people need to hear that, and so I just want to share a couple things real quick here with Randy, and I appreciate Randy sticking around here. One of the things, Randy, that I was, trying to work on with Russ is, some place that we could actually, maybe create to bring people to Russ's training. And so I put together this um, website here, or landing page, if you would. And I kind of was like, well, Russ is success by design on training, and maybe we want to create obviously a team to get more of this information out to people. Here's a 6-minute video that Russ put together, and it kind of over here goes through what the success by design on training is, and then what I'm trying to put together, and we're doing obviously a test here, is we want to do live weekly presentations with Russ, and to help people mentor or to mentor them in their business, and Russ can obviously give great ideas, and then the access to modules on demand that he has is recordings and so forth. And then we have what we actually put together, strategic partners. And one of the things with the strategic partners is I always look at, you know I have a couple other guys that I follow, and it's building that team. And because he says companies come and go as far as the networking, they have glitches, products have shelf lives, and it actually kind of makes sense to me. It's like, oh yeah, I see some of that. So but one of the things that with me is never really happened is a lot of making money. I pay out money, but I don't make a lot of money in the networking business. And I would like to change that. And so some of these, what we call strategic partners, is in Russ. I don't even know if you're familiar with this, but this SoFi right here is actually a bank, a US based bank. So obviously the people overseas and stuff really can't take advantage of this, but the people in the United States can. And if you open up this bank online, the key about this bank is it requires no fees. There's no monthly fee, there's no minimums, none of that. All that's required is when you set up your account, you deposit $50, And once you do that, they actually give you a bonus of 25. So now you have $75. You can take that $75 and move it right over into your other account and keep that account at zero if you want. But however, if you send out your referral link, guess what? And they create their account and put $50 in, you receive $75 for each referral. So if we go on the premise of working with, let's say, two people, right there, if two people come in and open up their SoFi account, you could actually make $150 just by SoFi. Now, what we're on right now is Meetin, and this is like a Zoom platform. And Dan, who was just on and had to jump off, is actually the guy who knows the owner of Meetin. And Meetin was just, they had an affiliate program, but it was like $50 a month, and then they paid out commissions. And Dan went to them and said, "Hey, could we get that affiliate program, but at a lower rate?" And he got it down to $19.95 a month, and it pays you 50% on your first level. So here again, you bring in two people like with SoFi, and they get their meeting rooms. Your meeting room is free. However, you get a third guy, and now you're making
$25.
$10 if they come in
Oh,
at the
$10.
$20 level. And they even pay out 20% on their second level. This is like, I don't know what to say, but you're on Meetin right now. And this room in the webinar version can have up to 1,000 people. I'm streaming right now to YouTube live. We are live on TV right now. And you can do up to 5 sources at the same time. Facebook, like we were talking about, Russ having his own YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. That would be 2 sources. Russ's Facebook, my Facebook. We could go on Rumble, all live right here, and it has all the hosts. People can come in, and you can make money off of this. Now, like I say, Randy loves Zoom. Let's just say, keep your Zoom, use Zoom. But this could be a opportunity, and especially right now, nobody else really has it. And so it's a unique opportunity that you can use to bring them in to the Success by Design.
There's Paul.
Hey, Paul, we
Hey.
are live on YouTube right now. And unfortunately, you just missed Russ's great untraining, but you can watch the replay on YouTube when I put it into my YouTube channel. But we were just kind of going over a little bit of the meeting room that we're in here, and some of the other things. So, but Russ, that was really great. I don't want to take up too much time here. Is there any questions, Randy? Do you have any questions at what you've seen? If not, then
I think you froze there for a second.
oh
Randy?
no, he had his mute on. Go ahead, Randy.
No, I appreciate what he said. Took some copious notes. And
That's okay. It's okay to take notes. It's fine.
I just had to laugh when he said that, because I'm like, I record everything into Notability, and and then I'm like, why did I do that? I got all these files and I don't go back to them. But the fun part of that is that history in those, it's like even in the CDs and stuff we used to get from the Amway or the Quickstar, having those in the back closet was always something fun to go back to and digitize and re-listen to at times, because there was a lot of good in there, but also there's a lot of, like you were saying, there's a lot of 99% out there that aren't making anything at doing this. They're just spending money. So good to hear that, and good to hear that you're looking for a solution for that.
Thank you.
Yep, that's awesome. Well, our goal is to do this every week. And so we're obviously, looking for, some input. Obviously times are always a challenge because Russ actually has people that matter of fact, at 3 o'clock Eastern, is going to be getting on with people over in the UK and so forth. And he does trainings over there, like I said in the intro, the South Pacific and, all these other areas. And, I have a problem just getting on with a guy in the Pacific time zone, and Russ is in Mountain and Central and all that. It confuses me and all that, let alone going on with somebody overseas. So, anyway, that's always a challenge. But hey, I appreciate everybody coming out.